Well, I just wanted to take just a second and introduce you to our special guest speaker that we have tonight. It is not me, thank God. But I just want to introduce her. Her name is Brittney McNiell. She is such a dear friend of mine. I met her, it doesn't feel like it's been just a year, but I met her about a year ago at a She Speaks conference, which is not many people know about, but Proverbs 31 puts it on with Lisa Turkhurst, and we both happened to go at the same exact time. It was a chance that I even made it there to begin with, and I met her, we sat at the same table, and then we got to speak at a conference together. And so it is just, she is incredible. She makes me laugh so much, and I know that she's going to be such a treat for you all. She's got a sweet, sweet family, but I'm going to let her introduce them. So we all just give a warm, warm Kentucky welcome to our Iowa friend, Brittney McNiell.
Okay, hold on, stay right here. Okay, so we've talked about your embarrassing moment where your bootay was out. But we all need to stand up and cheer Gabby on. I've only known her a year, and she's one of my dearest friends. She's a serial encourager, not a serial murderer. She doesn't kill people. She encourages to the core. And so when I need something, I'm like, I'm calling Gabby. I'm gonna message Gabby. And so if you guys would all stand up, she does an amazing job here, more than you guys will ever know. Cheer her on. Cheer her on. We'll talk more about that, Okay, you can have a seat, but let's talk about the worship for a second. That was amazing, and we just had church, so we can all go home now, because we just had church. Am I gonna be standing in front of this thing? Just let me scoot over. It's kind of weird. Pardon me while I rearrange the furniture on the stage. Okay, so let me tell you about that worship. It's how I like it. I like it loud enough to drown out the enemy, loud enough she couldn't hear me yelling right there because I was real close to her, and I'm like, she's gonna be off tune because I'm kicking her off tune. And it doubled as an aerobic workout, right? Can I get an amen? I was like sweating and I didn't even care. It was so good, so good. All right, so I need to stop and pray because I'll just be really crazy. So if you'll just bow your heads. Father God, we just thank you for your presence in this place. You have shown up in a mighty way already, God. And we are so grateful for what you're about to do in the next 30, 45, maybe 50 minutes. God, I just thank you that, God, you were just so mighty and you were just so powerful, and you can literally do anything that you want here. There is nothing in this place that you cannot do, God. And so we come expectant, we come prayerful, and we are excited for what you have for us here. And God, we thank you for what you're gonna do in us, through us, and around us. In your name I pray, amen. All right, so is there a picture of my family? You guys, look at my family. They're so cute. So we just moved to Iowa 8 weeks ago. I am dressed in winter gear because they didn't tell me this in Iowa. They skip fall. So it goes straight from summer to winter right at the beginning of October. And then I get here and it's 75 degrees. I'm like, oh, y'all, you did not skip fall. So anyway, we just moved to Iowa. This is my husband, Jeff. He is a student pastor at Faith Christian Outreach Church in Mount Pleasant. This is Brittney. She is the assistant director at Cradle of Hope, which is the Pregnancy Resource Center. She's very passionate about the Lord and saving unborn children. This is my son, Landrum. I did him first because he's funny and she's a lot of energy. So his name's Landrum, and he loves football, and we lovingly call him Sloth Boy because he has one speed. One, and it's not fast. And then this is my daughter, Grayson. She is the epitome of her father. She's amazing. No, she is the smartest kid that I know. Look, ready to be annoyed. Are you ready? Judge me all you want. My daughter, we just moved, and she got moved to 3 advanced classes. Thank you. She's amazing. It's not my job. That was her dad. She's smart like her dad. So anyway, this is my family. We just moved to Iowa, like I said, and so we are renting a house in Iowa while our house is for sale in Missouri. And one of my biggest fears renting a home is that you have no idea how many people have keys to the house that you're walking into, right? Is this a legitimate fear? Anybody else feel like this? And so I was really freaked out about not knowing who had keys. And then we had an intruder. And I kid you not, I almost died. So we were at a youth event. It was stupid late, 12:31. I drag the kids in the house. My husband's in the garage messing with the dogs. The kids and I go in. You have to like make a U shape to go into the bathroom. And so I'm in the kitchen with Landrum, and Grayson rounds the corner to the bathroom, and she yells, "There's someone in the bathroom!" And she comes running around the corner. Being the good mother I am, I push them out of the way to V-line for the garage. Because, listen, if there's an intruder, they're not getting me. I'm just kidding. I legitimately threw them out the garage door, like down the steps, tripping and falling. We're all screaming. My husband's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "There's someone in the house." He's like, "Hold on." And I'm like, "I can't breathe." I wasn't that far, but I did run. And I was like freaking out. And I said, "You're gonna have to go in. You're gonna have to go in because I'm never going back in, ever." And so he was like, "I'm not going in if there's really someone in there." And I said, "Well, your phone is dead and mine's in the house, so somebody's gotta go in." And so we're in the garage, like contemplating, do we just run away and never come back? Like, we still have a house in Missouri, we could just go. Or do we like do something about it? So he's like, "Have you really thought, are you sure there's someone in there?" "Well, your daughter saw someone in the bathroom." And she was like, "No, I didn't see anybody. When I pushed the door pushed back." And I was like, "Then that means there's someone in there." And so he goes to the bathroom, he opens the door, and there was Reba in the bathroom. Her name is Reba. She's our robot vacuum cleaner. And her battery was dead and she had gotten stuck in the bathroom, and so she was just like boom, boom, like bouncing on the door, trying to get out of the bathroom. And so we had a sit-down family meeting. Next time you yell, "There's someone in the bathroom," make sure there's actually someone in the bathroom. I'm old and like heart attacks are prevalent at this point. So that's my sweet, sweet family. And this picture is deceiving. We look really cute. I have sweat running down my butt crack. No lie. I don't know if you can see my son's glasses. First of all, he broke them, so he's wearing his kindergarten glasses that stick out the side. And they're fogged up. And he ripped a fart. Like the grossest. Boy moms, raise your hand if you're a boy mom. You know what I mean. Like a grown man ripped a fart right as this was happening. He's so sweet. He is a treasure, that kid. So this is my family. We are a hot mess. But we love the Lord and we serve him and we are passionate about doing his work, and that's why I'm here. So when I go to see a speaker, I like to know a little bit about them before I go in because I'm super nosy. And so you may not know me. I know you guys had Lisa Turkhurst before. She's my friend, she just doesn't know it. But one day we're gonna be really close. So I apologize in advance, okay? Like if you saw Lisa, I'm sorry. They invited me, I don't know why, but I'm here. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. So anyway, we're passionate about serving the Lord, and that's why I'm here, and I just love God, and I love all that he does. And so I want to tell you 3 stories that make me super Christian. So that way you can trust what I'm about to say, okay? So I really am a super Christian, like for real, for real. So the first story is this. Several years ago, before we were married and had children, I'm going to be real quick because I'm probably going to run out of time. We took my nephew and my 2 nephews, my 2 cousins, the same age as my nephew, to Burger King. And my cousin, his name was Caden, he was 3, maybe 4. And then his brother was 5. And so they're playing in the play place. That was back when Burger King had a play place with a ball pit at the end of the slide. And the older of the 2 brothers comes out of the ball pit. We're sitting at the table ignoring them because that's what you do when you're young and have no children. And he comes out and he's gagging like he's gonna spew. I'm like, buddy, we don't do puke. So you're gonna need to hold that in. And he was like, "Caden pooped in the slide." And I said, "What?" He said, "Caden pooped in the slide and then slid down the slide." And I was like, "Was the poop not in his pants?" And he said, "No, he took his pants off." And I was like, "Where are his pants?" "They're in the ball pit." No lie, y'all. He pooped in his pants, took them off at the top of the slide, slid down the slide with his pants and underwear, stuck them in the ball pit. You wanna know what I did? Because I'm a really good Christian. I wrapped him in my jacket, I took him to his mom's doorstep, opened it up, and I said, "I hope his name isn't in his underwear because it's in the ball pit at Burger King with poop in it." Poop. So next time you think you wanna get in a ball pit, there could be poopy underwear in there. So because I'm a super Christian, I didn't tell anyone. I just left it. Sorry, Burger King workers. My bad. Second thing that I did as a super Christian, my daughter was 3 years old. Gabby knows the story. My daughter was 3 years old. I went to pick her up at daycare. She comes out and she's like sobbing, like, ooh. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? So I scoop her up, I get in the car, and she's like, Mommy, the kids were calling me the B word. I'm sorry, they called you what? They've been calling me the B word all day long. She's like freaking out. So this is free information. If you have a husband that's your sounding board, call him before you call the daycare. Okay? So in my moment of who is cussing at my child, I called the daycare up, and the daycare worker answers, "Hi, Brittany, how are you?" And I'm like, what kind of low-budget, backwoods daycare are you running where kids are talking and saying gross things and calling my daughter the B word? I'm going 90-0. And she's laughing. You guys, she's laughing. And she said, oh, that's so cute. The kindergartners have been calling 3-year-olds babies all day. Oh, that's really cute. Have a good day. You guys, I yelled at her. Why are you letting them cuss in the daycare? It never dawned on me that my 3-year-old would have no idea what the B word was. I just rash decision. So because I'm a really good Christian, I don't think things through. I just, that's what I do. And last but definitely not least, how many of you guys have been to Disney? I have a story about the day that Disney was no longer the happiest place on earth. We did Disney on New Year's Eve. Just say, you should have known better. So we arrived at Disney at 6 a.m. because we got magic hour, and we stayed through fireworks at midnight till 1 a.m. It was 18-something hours. I don't know, about 9 a.m. it was no longer the happiest place on earth. And so we're doing Disney, and we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it all day. We traded pins, we smashed pennies, we rode every ride, we did all the things in Magic Kingdom. The evening was over, we watched the fireworks. It was actually really amazing, the fireworks were. And then it was time to leave Disney. And so, leave Magic Kingdom. They were maxed out capacity. At 10 a.m., no one else could get in. So I'm talking shoulder to shoulder people. And as we're exiting Disney, they take us, half of us, if you're up at the top half of Magic Kingdom, they take you outside where the workers park. And I was like, sweet, they're so smart. We're gonna just go out here, it's gonna be fine. They take you out there and then they merge you back in with the rest of the peasants. And so they merge us back in, and so we're squished like this. And everyone, if you're going on the boat, you go here. If you're going on the buses, you go here. If your car's over here. So we're all, everybody's just it's terrible. Parents were holding kids up. Everybody was screaming. It was really bad. So we put the kids between us. I'm holding their backpacks. And this man comes through, and he's bound and determined to get to his boat before I get to my bus. And he I clotheslined him with my arm. And he's pushing, I'm about to let go of my 12-year-old daughter. He's pushing, and I looked at him dead in the eye, and I said, "Sir, this is my child, and there is nothing you can do to separate us." And he looked at me and turned around. And at that point, I started hysterically sobbing, I wanted out of Disney. It was not the happiest place on earth. It was the horriblest place on earth. So, because I'm such a good Christian, I yelled at a man at Disney. I ruined his day, probably ruined his life. But, so if you're wondering after those stories why they invited me here tonight, me too, I have no idea, but here we are. So I tell you these stories because, first of all, I love to laugh because the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so if I can find something to laugh about, I'm gonna laugh about it because there is a lot of things to be unhappy about, so we can choose joy, right? Amen. Secondly, I wanna tell you this because I want you to know that I am super duper duper normal. So it's easy to assume that anyone who is given a microphone and a platform has it all together. It's easy to assume that because my husband's a student pastor, we don't argue, everything's all perfect, our kids are amazing, that I didn't make my daughter run to the fence and back in the dark without a flashlight night before last. It's easy to assume those things, but I want you to know that I am literally just normal, sadly normal. I'm like a subpar wife. I really try to be submissive, but sometimes it gets on my nerves. Like, I am like an okay speaker. Sometimes I run rabbits and go over the time limit. They don't have a counter-downer. Counter-downer? I just coined a new phrase. They don't have a counter-downer, which makes me feel really good because it doesn't stress me out. And so I just want you to know that I'm super duper duper normal, and I screw up, and I fail. I struggle with the same things that everyone else struggles with. Now, I don't want to be transparent to make you feel comfortable, like, oh good, she's bad, I don't have to be good. That's not the point. The point of my transparency is to tell you how good my God is. And so what I know is that even at my worst, my ugliest moments, God is so good. And I am a work in progress, just like every single one of you. And the only reason I'm given a platform is because God called me to it. And even if I'm terrible at it, I'm gonna do it because that's what he's asked of me. And so what I want you to do is like take a sigh of relief. She's not perfect. I just spit. Let me tell you, I couldn't even sleep last night because I was afraid to miss a flight. Like, I freak out about stupid things. Like, literally, I'm just so normal. It's scary how normal I am. Or maybe I'm not normal. Maybe I'm just crazy. But anyway, I just want you to take a sigh of relief that none of us are perfect. We're all in this together, and we're going to get through this message, all right? All right. That's what I needed. That's what I need to hear. So I tell you all of this because our goal is that you leave here feeling encouraged, equipped, empowered, joyful, all of those things. But what I know about a room full of women is that there is tons of opportunity to feel bad about yourself, right? So maybe you got here tonight and your friend's flaunting her new engagement ring while you were just in the parking lot contemplating getting on Tinder because you're so lonely. Or maybe like the lady next to you is straight out of the boutique. Y'all, I saw a girl earlier come around the corner. Her eyelashes were amazing. They literally rounded the corner 5 seconds before her. They were like, she was gorgeous. I was like, well, that's what we're here for, that girl. And so there is I didn't point at any one of you particularly. No, I'm just kidding. No, but what we are here to do is lock arm in arm and do this thing called life together. And so when we take a chance, an opportunity to look at our neighbor and stop focusing on what we need to do, that's when we create problems. So a room full of women is the perfect place to find comparison, right? And so no matter what stage of life that you're in, the enemy is going to try to convince you that you're an absolute failure, right? So what the enemy does is takes our encouragement and turns it into condemnation, right? So there's a certain amount of, there's only a certain capacity of things that you can hold. And the enemy's gonna try to take what I say here tonight and make you feel bad about yourself. Like, oh, I don't do this, or I worry too much about this, or whatever. If you walk out of here feeling anything other than encouraged, then I would venture to guess that you struggle with comparison, right? Raise your hand if comparison's a problem in your life. Wow. Here, y'all. No, like literally, I was telling Gabby, the reason God keeps having me preach the same message over and over is because I'm really bad at it. I really, really struggle with comparison. So, I want to know if you raise your hand if you've ever felt judged by another woman. Yeah? So let me flip it. Raise your hand if you've ever judged another woman. Girl. If you wear your house shoes in Walmart, I can't help it. Jesus, gone. Lady with the house shoes. Really? Like, really? You couldn't even put on flip-flops? Like, that's easy. Flip-flops are easier to get on than house shoes. Like, okay, so I won't go through the laundry list of people that I judge because that would just be inappropriate. But just like I overreacted about the B word earlier in this story, we often make assumptions based on what we see, right? What we see next to us, what we see across from us, what we see on the other side of the screen. Anybody else have social media problems? Yeah? And so we all are struggling, and it would be a bold-faced lie for us to say otherwise. So if you're not willing to admit you're struggling, that's okay. We'll get you before this night's over. So some of us handle our struggles gracefully. Some of us handle it like taking off a wet swimsuit, right? I would be struggling like the wet swimsuit with the whole gamut of comparison. It's not picture perfect. There is no perfect woman, and short of our departure of this world into heaven, we will never be able to achieve that, right? So, there are a million things I could stand up here and say, but what I want you to walk away, if you're a writer downer, like a counter downer, if you're a writer downer, this is what you need to write down. You will never be who God called you to be if you're busy being someone else. You can clap, thank you. You're the one who doesn't know Lisa Turkhurst, right? Yes, I'm preaching to you, it's me and you. You will never be who God called you to be if you're busy being someone else, right? Unless you live under a rock, there's a chance that you've spent some time on social media, or at a playground, or at a grocery store. All of these places are fertile ground for a really nasty disease called comparison. Fertile ground. In my notes, I had that it was easily transmittable, but then that kind of turned into like the STD transmittable, and then I was like, I better take that out, but then I said it anyway. So, but let me tell you, this is an illness that is hard to beat. It is hard to change your mindset. So, I am going to give us 3 things that we must learn in order to kill comparison. 3 things. Thing number 1, to kill comparison. Settle in your mind that you were chosen by God for this exact moment in time. Right? Settle in your mind that you were chosen by God for this exact moment in time. This is the comparison that eats the inside of us. The comparison that we need more, that we want more, that everybody has more than us. I kind of like to think of it like shake what your mama gave you, but like don't actually shake what your mama gave you. Because, I mean, I guess we can shake. This is an okay crowd to shake. Okay, then shake what your mama gave you. This is the thing. God created you for this exact moment in time. My husband calls me Boo. Like, hey, Boo. Anyway, he always says, you do you, Boo. Like, that's what he tells me all the time. Probably when he's annoyed. But, so that's what I'm telling you tonight. Like, God created you for this moment. You do you. Stop doing everybody else's thing, and you. Do your thing. One of my favorite Bible, I want to call it a character because they were real. And I think when we say character, sometimes it takes away from the fact that these were real people in a real time. It was Esther. So I'm going to give you the 6-sentence synopsis of Esther, the entire book. You can read it later because you love the Lord. Esther was an orphan and she was raised by her cousin. The king, frustrated with his wife, began to look for a new wife. Esther made sure to jump in line for obvious reasons. The king would have a nice rock, right? I mean, that's why. No, I'm just kidding. I would not do that. So she wins the favor of the people. She wins the favor of the king, and she finally becomes the queen. She's Queen Esther. But not everything was well in the king's courts. There was a man who didn't like the Jewish community, and so he asked the king to make a mandate that you could kill all the Jews. Well, the king agreed to it, but he didn't realize that his wife was Jewish. So he knew so little about her that he didn't even know that she was Jewish. So in a long turn of events, Queen Esther uses her influence to save the lives of the Jewish people. She convinces the king to actually kill the man who wanted to kill the Jews. So I imagine that Esther did not enjoy being an orphan, right? Don't you think she probably looked at the other kids and was like, oh, they have parents and I don't. And I don't know how she became an orphan. I don't even know if it's in the Bible. But had it not happened, identical to the way that her life happened, an entire nation would be different than it is now. She was created for that exact moment. I would venture to say that in her mother's womb, God knew what he needed her to be to fulfill his plan. And he gave her those exact attributes to attract the king. He gave her courage. He gave her everything that she would need to walk out what he was going to have for her before she was even born. He knew she would need to be an orphan. He knew that she would need to struggle with loneliness. He knew all of the things that she needed to do. Just like Esther, God knows what he's asking you to do. You may not know it yet, but God knows what his plan is for you. She didn't love being an orphan, but it was part of her story, right? So you could say that your struggles are part of your story. They're part of your story. Maybe you struggle with singleness. Any ladies? Don't raise your hand. That's embarrassing. I didn't mean that. Any ladies like struggling with singleness and all these brides, all your friends are getting married and now they're all having kids and you still don't have a boyfriend, and it's like a struggle. It's like a real struggle that people have. Or maybe you struggle with infertility. I had a friend that really struggled with infertility, and we worked in youth ministry, and then we had a teenager get pregnant on accident, and she's like, I want a baby, and I can't have a baby. She was so frustrated that the Lord would give somebody who didn't want a kid a baby when she wanted one so bad. But what Esther 4:14 reminds us is that just like Esther was created to bring deliverance to the Jews, you, sweet friend, were created for this exact moment in time. And if you don't have it yet, it means you don't need it yet, right? If you don't have it yet, you don't need it yet. I'm sure there's things that Esther wanted in her life. Parents, someone to love her, people to take care of her. But she didn't have it because it wasn't what she needed. God inhabits the very marrow of your bones. Do you realize that? He is the breath in your lungs. And for that one factor, you are enough. Exactly the way that you are. Because he is inside of you. You'll never be who God called you to be if you're busy being someone else. Point number 2, this life was not meant to be a competition. This life was not meant to be a competition. This is the comparison that hurts those around us. So the first comparison hurt us. This is the comparison that hurts those around us. I'm going to talk to the moms for just a minute. I know we're not all moms. Does anybody feel like parenting brought out a competitive side of you? Like a bad one? If you didn't raise your hand, I saw you at the T-ball game with your son's custom helmet and his batting gloves to hit off of a tee. We know you, Karen, okay? We know you because we are you, okay? And so we know little Timmy with his custom helmet, or maybe the mom at the Valentine's party. Pinterest Peggy. Anybody? Anybody? You know Pinterest Peggy. You're laughing because you know Pinterest Peggy. What about the crunchy mom who grows vegetables in her backyard while wearing her baby and breastfeeding in public? Anybody? Anybody? Listen, I'm glad she grows those vegetables, but that's not me. I'll offend all of you before the message is over, don't worry. Sometimes I want to be like, look, I just dry shampooed my children and Febrezed them on the way out the door. Like, I am not interested in your family chore chart, Karen, okay? Keep your family chore chart, I'm not interested. Or the fact that I ate an entire sleeve of Thin Mints on the plane and considered asking the man next to me for the last sip of his little tiny Pepsi. I'm not interested in your 5 booty lift workouts, okay? Okay, Tammy, do your CrossFit. I'm gonna eat the Thin Mints, right? That's what I wanna say. Okay, Tammy, we know you work out every day. We know, we see you post it. If you don't post it, did you work out? I don't know. You did, but you just didn't post about it, so we didn't know it didn't happen, right? But listen, we have to remember that we are not in competition with these people. As much as we want to try to set that up, we're not in competition with them. You're not in competition with the person next to you. You're not in competition with the person across the street from you. You're not in competition with the person across the screen from you. Who that person is or what that person does not add or take away from who you are. Who she is and what she does not add or take away from who you are. And that's a conscious choice that you have to make to believe that. It's with hearts full of failure and regret that we resort to seeking out flaws in other people, right? To make us feel better about ourselves. Or worse, we allow the success of others to wound us even deeper than we wound ourselves, right? We have got to stop building a rivalry out of everyday life. We do that. We bring that on ourselves. We build a rivalry out of everything. Everything becomes a competition. My corn grew faster than yours. Well, you live in Iowa, so. Like literally, everything's a competition. My son's so advanced. He walked when he was 9 months. Well, okay, mine walked when he was 2. It's fine. But like everything becomes a rivalry. And even if you're not saying it out loud, you're probably thinking it in your head. I think of it like a softball game. My daughter plays softball. If she came to me and she had just won, say the score was like 8-1 or whatever, and she's like, we won, and I was like, actually, the next game over, that team, they scored 10 runs, so you didn't really win. But no, that was her game. She won her game because she was playing her game, right? Are you playing your game? Or are you playing somebody else's game? You got to stay in your own lane. God has called you to a task. He didn't call your neighbor to it. And you're comparing yourself to something that God has not even asked you to worry about if your corn is taller than someone else's. Literally, you are running your own race. And the sooner you acknowledge and remember that, the easier life will be. Comparison convinces us that God's blessings are somehow limited. And if she wins, then that must mean that I lose. Isn't that? We believe that God is limited in what he can do, and we small him down. We make God smaller. Like, if my sister buys a new house and I'm still renting because she won, I lost. But God is so big. He can do, there's nothing he can't do. Literally nothing he can't do. So when you believe that their win is a loss for you, it's a lie from the enemy, and you are taking it like bait. You are eating it up. One of my favorite scriptures is Galatians 6, 4-5, and it says, but let each one test his own work. Let each one test his own work, and then his reason to boast will be of himself and not his neighbor. For each will have to bear his own load. Each will have to bear his own load. And then James 3, 14-18 says, but if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. Those are 3 categories I do not want to be in. Earthly, unspiritual, spiritual, and demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder. I hate disorder. Any moms out there, like, I hate when things are chaos. I love ducks in a row, all the same color. That's me. And so it says that where there's jealousy or selfish ambition, there will be disorder in every vile practice. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable. You can't judge your neighbor and be at peace with them. Gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. By those who make peace. What these scriptures tell me is that women who trust God don't compare. Women who trust God have no reason to compare themselves to anyone around them. So our comparison proves a lack of trust on our part. The abundance of comparison is a direct reflection of how much you trust the Lord. And that, in my own personal life, makes me really sad. For me. Because I know when I'm comparing myself, I'm not trusting him. Because most of my struggle that I go through comes off of social media, I want to share this little secret with you. Come close. Lean in. You absolutely can live without social media. And we're chuckling because we all know we feel like we can't live without it, right? Don't tell me that your multi-level marketing business is on social media. I believe you. But is it worth your sanity? Don't tell me you're an influencer. Everybody's an influencer. Everybody put on a cute outfit, take a picture, and call themselves an influencer. But listen, if you're constantly complaining about all the negativity on social media and Instagram and on Facebook, but you go there, like if you knew the pond was infected, you wouldn't jump in the pond. You can live every day of your life without social media. I'm not a person to say, everybody back in my day, but like people legitimately lived for hundreds of years without social media. They really did. Set boundaries for yourself. I literally pray for the Lord to make me sick to my stomach if I've been on the internet too long. Like, God, please make me want to throw up, because that's about the only reason I get up and change what I'm doing. And like, he will oblige. He'll oblige. He will put enough people in my path to make me sick enough to get off. Turn it off. Delete the app. Take a break. If you take a break, do not post that you're taking a break. Listen, all that's saying is you want someone to say, how's your Facebook break going? Like, just turn it off. That's like fasting. You're not supposed to fast and tell someone you're fasting. It like cancels it out. Like, delete the app. Give yourself 3 days. Give yourself 30 days. Give yourself a year. Whatever you need to do to kill the comparison bug. Make a better choice. That's what I want to say. So before I go on to my point number 3, when I was writing this message back before the women's conference, or the moms conference that we went to, God laid something on my heart so strongly that I literally wrote it on the plane there and was like, okay, God, I'll say it. I don't want to, but I'll say it. And so I'm going to read it because I want to make sure and say it just like he said it, because you might be mad at me, but I want you to know that it came from the Lord. And so I'm going to read it identical to how he said it, because I want you to hear his heart in this. There's a potential this is going to be unpopular opinion. But I would venture to guess that lots of times scripture is unpopular opinion, right? It's not opinion, it's truth. You can talk to anyone who doesn't love the Lord, and it's very unpopular. Even people who love the Lord don't always love what scripture has to say. I'm going to spend the next point talking about how we're supposed to lock arm in arm and be women and empower each other and grow together and celebrate each other. Celebrating another woman should never come at the expense of degrading a man. Celebrating another woman should never come at the expense of degrading a man. It's never acceptable to use the accomplishments and uniqueness of a woman to demean and degrade the opposite sex. It's never acceptable. I do want to speak to the girl who's been hurt by a man or by men. I see you, and I know you're hurt, and I'm praying for you. It does not give you a free pass to bash all men. So what God told me to say was, stop posting negative stuff about men online. Stop calling them your third child. God made us unique and made us different, and we will never be like men because God created us separate. We have no business downplaying a whole group of people to make ourselves feel better. Stop sipping coffee with your friends and bashing your spouses. Listen, nothing ever gets better if you always talk about how bad it is. If you're in the business of saving your marriage, stop telling everyone how awful he is. Start taking care of stuff in your four walls and not with your friends. It's hurtful, it's harmful, and it's completely unacceptable, and it also makes people look childish and foolish when you have to demean someone else to make yourself feel better. I love empowerment. I love women's empowerment. I think we are amazing creatures. God created us with so many amazing qualities to complement what he created in a man. But empowerment never comes at the expense of someone else. That's why I'm so passionate about unborn children. You can empower women all day long, but half of the children aborted are women. And so empowerment never comes at the demise or the demeaning of someone else. So I'm just gonna get off my soapbox. I'm sorry if I offended you. You're probably like gonna go back and delete all your posts. Listen, I want to apologize, but I won't, because I know the Lord told me to say it, and it's something that I see running rampant on all social media platforms, on 90% of the women that I talk to, having something negative to say about the male species. Not all men are bad. And nobody, somebody, you may never have been told that. Not all men are bad. I have an amazing husband, and I am raising an amazing son. Not all men are bad, just like not all women are good. So that's it. That's all I got for that soapbox. If you're mad, take it up with Jesus. All right, this is my final and favorite point. Are you ready? The number one way to kill comparison is to cheer her on. Amen. Thank you. One person's listening. Me and you. Me and her, and me and you. Yes, cheer her on. This is how we kick comparison straight in the teeth. Let me tell you, I did not make the cheerleading squad. 7th grade. I'll tell you my history. I had a back brace because I have scoliosis. They cut me on like day 2. I am a lot of a person. I should have been a cheerleader. So since they cut me, I'm just going to cheer everybody else on. I'm going to cheer my whole life away. I'll show them. Tell me I can't cheer. I was really bad. Listen, I'm tall. I had like arms and legs everywhere and no coordination. Like, it wasn't their fault. I'm not mad at them anymore. I did try to get my mom to go to the office though. I was like, tell them that I'm good. She was like, you're fine. Listen, a parent who lets their kid get hurt a little bit, amen to that. Because I learned lessons from it, like how to get my kids hurt a little bit. Anyway, I think that Philippians 2, 1-4, has anybody heard of the Passion Translation? We were just talking about that. The Passion Translation of the Bible. It's not like, I wouldn't use it as my only Bible, but man, this version is like this one spot. I'm gonna read it. Look at how much encouragement you have found in your relationship with the Anointed One. You are filled to overflowing with his comforting love. You have experienced a deepening friendship with the Holy Spirit and have felt his tender affection and mercy. So I'm asking you, my friends, that you be joined together in perfect unity, with one heart, one passion, and united in one love. To walk together with one harmonious purpose. Harmonious, do you know what that means? It sounds good. If you're pushing all the same keys, it's not gonna sound good. You've got to figure out what works to walk harmoniously. And you will fill my heart with unbounding joy. It would, like goals. Fill God's heart with unbounding joy. That's like #goals for me. I want to do nothing but please him. And this scripture just gets me. Be free from pride-filled opinions. Everybody got opinions. For they will only harm your cherished unity. Don't allow self-promotion to hide in your hearts. But in authentic humility, put others first. Put others first. That is not human nature, is it? We are elbowing, knocking folks down, kicking them so they don't get back up. That is not human nature to put others first. So that tells us we have to work at it. And view others as more important than yourself. Abandon every display of selfishness. Possesses a greater concern for what matters to others instead of your own interest. What matters to others instead of your own interest. You heard me, Karen. Stop being a hater and start cheering her on. This is some next level Jesus stuff right here. If you can conquer this, if you can grasp this, you have some next level Jesus in your life. And I say this because this is the thing I struggle with the absolute most. I'm gonna be real transparent here. Not the comfort, not to tie you a little bow in a blanket, a snuggie, and make you feel good about yourself. I'm being transparent because you need to know. I struggle when people achieve what I'm working towards. Hardcore. I get real frustrated. Complete transparency, when I walk off this stage tonight, I have no more speaking engagements booked. Don't know where they're gonna come from. A little frustrated at God about it. I stepped out and did what you said. Here I am with nothing next. I followed after Lisa Turkhurst for crying out loud. Like, what else do I need to achieve? If I don't have it yet, it means I don't need it yet. But I struggle so bad with comparing myself to others and trying to figure out how to be like them so I can achieve what they've achieved. Man, that's a hard place to live. It's a hard place to live when you cannot cheer someone on because you're so worried that they're doing more than you. It's really sad. It's really sad that we commit so much of our existence to that. So that's why I'm passionate about making sure that we cheer each other on, because it's the best way to beat this comparison bug. If you're so busy staring left and right, jealous of something someone else accomplishes, and whining about what you expected to happen in your own life, you miss the perfect opportunity to be the hands and feet of Jesus. That's what the Bible calls us to be, the hands and feet of Jesus. And when you're annoyed at her for her new house, her fancy car, her speaking engagement, you're missing the opportunity to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Here's what I know. Celebrate her out loud and on purpose. Celebrate her out loud, not just like, oh, good for her. She can't hear you. Celebrate her out loud and on purpose. Say words that applaud her even if they don't match your thoughts yet. Say words that applaud her even if they don't match your thoughts. There is something powerful and freeing in celebrating the success of other people. I want to give you some simple ways to celebrate other women. It may sound silly, but we need a little encouragement when it comes to this area. So some simple ways. Number one, like and comment on their post. If you're going to be on social media, like and comment on their post. Use tons of emojis. Be super extra, stars, hearts, heart, stars, pizza, 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 heart, stars, all of it. Every one of your top 10 emojis, use them all. She's amazing. And tell her about it. Even if you're rolling your eyes when you hit send. Like, she's so great. But you did it, right? You did it. That's the first step. Mail someone a card. Oh, y'all, if you want to get me in the feels, write me a note. That's my love language. Like, write me a sweet note, and that's how you're going to get me right in the feels. Encourage her. Mail her a card. Tell her how great she's doing. Tell her that you noticed when she disciplined her child. I noticed how you got in your son's face and talked to him face to face and said, you can't act like this. I noticed it. I noticed you being a good mom. Instead of being like, of course, he's so good. And my kid's running around with no shoes and cussing or whatever. My kids don't cuss, remember the B word. Try to remember important things. This one is so hard for me because I have a terrible memory, so this is what I've done. I put important things in my calendar. So Gabby and I have a friend who found out she was pregnant and was having some struggles, and they thought maybe lost the baby, and she had an appointment right past my head. But I had put a reminder in my phone to ask her about her appointment. I knew she said it was going to be Friday at 1 o'clock. So that was 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks from now. It'll be Friday at 1. I put it in my phone. Thursday night, I looked at my phone and I was like, oh, I'm not going to say her name. No. Appointment. Hey, I hope you, like, I'm praying for you. Let us know. And I know she felt encouraged by that because she messaged me in the background and was like, hey, I'm so glad you remembered that. I was feeling really alone. Put it in your phone. If you're going to have it and carry it with you all the time, use the thing for something good, right? When Gabby has speaking engagements, I put them in my phone because I have a terrible memory, but I want to cheer her on because she is like the sweetest person in the world. So I put them in my phone to remind me to encourage her before she goes on the stage or ask her how it went. Listen, phones can be terrible, but they can also be really useful. Write it on your calendar. Do what you have to do to remember important things. Maybe it's a big test or anything, a doctor's appointment. Like, reach out, check on your people. They're your people. Bring someone cake. Bring someone chocolate. Bring someone chocolate cake. Like, listen, I don't even care if you're talking about me behind my back. If you're bringing me chocolate cake, I'm thrilled, right? Go out of your way to do something for someone. So something that I love to do is buy little trinkets that I don't need in my own house, but I love them, and so I buy them to send to my friend's house. And like, I'm one of those crazy oil people. Make fun of me, it's fine. I made fun of me before I was me too. And so I love making up like little roller balls, and like people come over and I'm like, here, try this. Like, here's my new sugar scrub. Like, I love making things for people. And it fulfills my need to like create something, but it doesn't fill my house with stuff. So remember people, celebrate them, give them cake, give them chocolate. Celebrate, 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 right? When you are so full of celebration, you will forget that you ever looked at them any other way than victorious and deserving. Be so full of celebration that you forget you ever looked at that person any other way than victorious. Right? So, ladies, repeat after me. Cheer. Cheer. Her. On. One more time. Cheer. Her. On. So what are we going to do? I should be a teacher. That was so awesome. Oh, my kids don't even listen to me like that. Listen, we have been fed a lie that we have to do everything ourselves and look good while doing it, right? The you are enough movement is really amazing until you're enough to do it all and you're doing it all. Like you can do anything, doesn't mean you can do everything, right? And so it's an unrealistic standard that we hold ourselves to. We've got to stop holding ourselves to it and stop holding other people to a standard that is unrealistic. I would dare to say, if you aren't encouraging women around you, you're part of the problem. Right? If I'm freaking out because I have no speaking engagements booked, but Gabby messages me as like, I saw your post and it was so great, yada, yada, I'm gonna immediately forget that I'm a loser. I didn't have any better word for that. It's not true. I am not a loser. I am a child of the King. But if Gabby encourages me, I'm gonna quickly forget my deficiencies because she said something I did was good. And I know that I've gotta post on social media to be able to get those speaking engagements. So if she says that's good, then this is coming, right? Be so full of celebration that you can help someone get past their own deficiencies, right? So I'm gonna close with this. I don't know if the band was coming up. This is what we do. One, we remind ourselves that we were chosen for this exact moment in time. We have to stop. Okay, having goals is amazing, but we have got to stop looking so far to the future that we forget that we have something to do right now, right? That's like a deficiency, to be so focused on what you're gonna have and what you're gonna do that you don't even do anything now. So stop doing that. We're gonna believe that God has a plan for our life and that He promises to fill the gap where we fail. And we can find such sweet assurance in that because I need some gaps filled, right? We're also gonna remember that we are not in competition with anybody else. We are running our own race. We are playing our own softball game. The score on the other team does not matter. You do you, boo. You do you. And then we are going to celebrate because God's blessings are limitless and her win is not my loss. So we're gonna celebrate because that's what God's asked us to do. So I'm gonna ask you to do something real crazy. Stand up. Stand up. Do not split your pants. Or do split your pants, who cares? This is what I'm gonna ask you to do. Anybody in here ready to break up with comparison? This is a long overdue relationship. If you're ready to break up with comparison, we're gonna put into practice what we learned. We're gonna cheer her on. Cheer her on. What we're gonna do is, we're about to play this rockin' jammin' song. I don't even know what song it is, but it's gonna be amazing. And an aerobic workout. And you're gonna find 5 people. 5 people. You don't have to know them. You don't even have to like them. But you gotta tell them they look good. Or you can tell them they smell good. Or you can tell them that you know their kids are doing really good in school. Or, if you have cake in your purse, let me be your person. Let me be your person. And if it's chocolate cake, I'm gonna sit right here and eat it. Listen, oh, you know what? We're gonna do 10 people, because we're extra. Are we extra? So I'm gonna count down from 3. 3, 2, 1, go, yeah. I didn't know if I should count down or up. I'm gonna count down from 3 to 1. That's where you go next. And then we're gonna cheer so loud, we're gonna run around the room like crazy people. Listen, I'm from a charismatic church. You're about to get filled with the Spirit in here. That was totally a joke. Anyway, you're gonna find 10 people and say one nice thing. And then our gas tanks are gonna be so full that we're gonna rock out and be so happy, and we're gonna leave here knowing that we have achieved something tonight, right? Okay, on your marks. If my pants weren't so tight, I would do this runner thing, but they're tight. On your marks. Get set. 3, 2,